Skull and Bones, the disaster gift that keeps on giving. Let's see.
What up, friendos? Welcome back. Today, it's Skull and Bones time. Let's laugh at Ubisoft and find out just how soft they really are. Because
official Season 1. Oh no.
These are some of the softest people in the games industry. So if you've not...
By the way, that's literal and metaphorical. Because Ubisoft is just a bunch of woke clowns. And, well, yeah, that kind of explains everything I wanted to say. Just a bunch of woke clowns.
I've been following along. Skull and Bones was in development hell for a very long time.
Decade.
The game is rumoured to have cost in excess of $200 million to create because it's been in development hell for
money worthwhile spent
for so long. And originally I think it was supposed to be some kind of single player play off a Black Flag, which was a super smash hit in terms of what the game could have been, because people loved Black Flag, and just making a more involved focus on, you know, remove all the Assassin's Creed stuff.
Fun fact, Ubisoft is now making the follow-up to Black Flag. You see, Skull and Bones was not the follow-up to Black Flag. No. They're making the real one now. And by the way, I'm not joking. They actually are. And you know what's the best part about it? It's gonna be made by the same exact people that made this. Oh yeah. Skull and Bones is gonna make the next Black Flag now, boys. It's gonna be amazing.
And just make a fully pirate game. And that seems like a slam dunk. But instead, they did what Ubisoft and a lot of AAA, or I guess we should say now quadruple A game developers do, which is think, how can we take this good out?
No. This is what quadruple A development does. They all stand in a circle, suck each other off, pat themselves on the back, and maybe someone else also, and say, delicious. We have done it, boys. We have created pure, liquid entertainment. This is gonna sell like hotcakes on a not hot day. Yeah, ice cream on a hot day would be better, but who cares? Anyway, it's gonna be amazing. Trust us. We at Ubisoft have not failed at anything, except kind of literally everything in the past 10 years. I mean, same exact track record as Blizzard and Bethesda.
Idea and iterate upon it and make a whole bunch of money and make our consumer base happy, and just absolutely ruin it in the service of chasing perpetual revenue, because enough is never enough, and we have to have every game potentially be a 15-20 year long operating perpetual source of revenue, which is...
That's completely fine if you make a good game. I don't care. Be it microtransaction, be it pay to win. Make good game. Everyone's gonna be happy. Very simple math, honestly.
Part of the reason why I'm comfortable saying AAA gaming is just so out of touch with what consumers typically want, and that's why you're seeing this rise of the AA and indie game studios that are releasing products now that capture the interest and the attention of the market very easily and quickly, doing considerably better than some AAA games from these huge publishing arms owned by companies with massive budgets and a whole bunch of experience on the teams, being outdone by shoestring budgets and people shitting in a bucket in their mum's basement. So why am I talking about Ubisoft? Why are we...
Say what you will. That's how progress is made.
We exposing how soft they are? Well, because obviously when the game launched...
And the smaller the bucket, the bigger the incentive to not fail. It is what it is. Hey, you put a man on a field. Not that effective. You put a man on the field and a man with a gun behind him who's telling you, yeah, you're gonna die if you don't do this properly. Man, that's a lot of incentive. So the smaller the bucket, the better the game.
Launched, it was like $70, and $70 US, by the way. And the CEO, who's a bit of a fucking clown, to be honest, who's repeatedly said clown things like straight out of the circus, you guys don't understand cryptocurrency and NFTs and why it'll be great for you.
True.
When us, company that consistently pumps out garbage to satisfy investors.
That was Ubisoft, by the way, yeah. The gaming company that saw JPEGs of monkeys and said, amazing. Yeah. And how did that turn out? Well, as good as the people who sold their houses to buy a JPEG of a monkey, because that's quality investment right there. God, I wish the world just ended sometimes.
Monetizes it additionally with something that can't possibly be better when coming from us, because even if there was some kind of benefit of NFTs and crypto and play to earn or whatever the fuck else buzzword we're going to use, this company wouldn't be the one to bring it to you because they only care about revenue, and that's why this game's shit. We'll just say the game's probably not really shit. It's just not as good as it could have been, and probably not as good as its competitors already. Some people enjoy it, but again, some people love when women in high heels stamp on their balls. But we're talking about this because the game came out a couple of weeks ago. It was less than a month ago, put it that way.
Don't understand,
and
but okay.
They've already lowered the price of the game by a substantial amount. I think it's been lowered by $20 US.
Nice.
Came out at 70. Was asked on an investor call, why are you launching this game at $70? And they said, oh, it's because it's a quadruple A game and it costs so much money to make, which is irrelevant to the consumer, unless that means the game's going to be amazing, which by all accounts it is not. And then they've said, Ubisoft says Skull and Bones has, quote, record player engagement but fails to announce sales. Now, what companies do when they're just...
Bro, this is literally the New World fanboy cope, okay? New World has this amazing cope, which the fanboys constantly do to defend it. New World's doing great. Last week it had a 40% player increase. The fact that they don't tell you is the part that a 40% player increase means 50 more players decided to log on that week. So, I mean, 30%, 40% sounds great, but when you understand that that's like literally 5 players, yeah, suddenly it doesn't.
So soft that they're never going to admit, and obviously I know it's an investor thing and they don't want to appear like they've done a big old blunder, a big old boo-boo. They'll just make up new metrics to try and say, like, actually, this game's doing really well.
I did that a lot, by the way. God, working for the government, that's beautiful. You learn so many ways to creatively lie. Oh, you under-delivered on sales by 50%? Yes! And that's good. I'm not joking, that's literally a part of the job. You need to lie about stuff like that constantly. Under-delivered by 50%? Yeah, that's good. Because this means that now the next... It's beautiful. It's really... It makes me smile whenever I remember about stuff like this. Expected sales to be 50% higher than what they currently are. Still not a disaster. Still good. Doesn't matter.
Famously, with stuff like Overwatch, when the viewership was really low for the game, they'd say stuff like, oh, the watch time is really high, but not inform anyone that the watch time was high because they were running embeds in all their clients, and they were also running a 24-hour rebroadcast, so it was on all the time. If you actually looked at the numbers, like...
You don't actually even need to do this, by the way. This is a beginner mistake. Let me explain, okay? When you're sharing details about your statistics with someone, you don't want to actually give them the full rundown of this is the metric in view time, this is the metric in watch time, this is the metric in minutes, seconds, this is the metric in sales numbers, this is the metric in revenue and whatnot. No. You want to give them one number, and if the next time you have to give them again an explanation how things are currently going now for the same thing, and things are going horribly, now you give them the watch time number because that's big and impressive. Oh yeah, you don't even need to embed shit, okay? You just give them the number that they have no reference to or understanding how actually big or small it is, and there you go. And when they ask you, is this good? Hell yeah, brother! That's your answer. Now, admittedly, some people who actually care are gonna ask, but wait, how much is that in money? Yeah, then it's a little bit more tricky, but it's fine. You can always compare it to the previous months, and there's so many ways.
Obviously, it betrays that the watch time hours is fucking irrelevant. And they massage numbers like this to try and, say everything's going well. But obviously, we're going to use a little bit of fucking deduction skills here and see that this is not true. So they're unwilling to announce how many people have bought the game and blah, 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 which is fine. So they say, Ubisoft said Skull and Bones has over 4 hours of average daily playtime, which is the second highest ever at the company.
It makes sense. By the way, it makes sense that they go for this, because you need to understand, when you release such a magnificently shit game, that is probably your best metric. Because the people playing this at this point are only super mega fanboys. And obviously, you ignore the, people who log in for 5 minutes. You don't need to take account for them, because they're not a real statistic. They probably accidentally bought the game. Who cares? Refunded? Ignore those statistics, okay? So yeah, with super bad games like this, where there was no interest to begin with, and your peak, for example, was 10k players, and now it's currently like 500 players left, your average playtime for a person is actually not that bad.
Fantastic. One thing that they don't mention here is that they give people free trials to this game, which includes in the player stats. So it's not even people.
Oh yeah, they also
the
had a player trial
necessarily that are playing for that amount of time. So if that accounts for low amounts of revenue return, irrelevant. And of course, lots of people are gonna play a game for free to try and see if they like it, and then we'll see how that goes in short order.
True.
But using that instead of announcing sales is obviously why they're using this number, because the trial counts into it, whereas it wouldn't count into sales, which would make the game look pretty bad. So what does this mean? Without a sales figure on monthly active users or daily active users numbers, it's impossible to tell how well Skull and Bones has done. Probably not that well, because again, the game...
I mean, yeah, we can kind of close our eyes and throw a blind stone here.
...cost over $200 million to make. But from Ubisoft's statement, we can glean that those who are playing Skull and Bones are putting in the hours. It's worth noting Skull and Bones launched with an 8-hour free trial, offering players the chance to test the waters before jumping in with a $70 purchase. It's also on the you play with yourself service or whatever, where you pay a subscription fee and then you get to play their games. So of course that's like Game Pass, or EA's got one. I can't remember what any of these fucking things are called. I don't pay for them other than Game Pass. If it's not on Game Pass, I ain't paying you a subscription to play your roster of games. Miss me with that one. But obviously that would be fair to include in the sales of the games. It's all baked into their ecosystem. But obviously saying things like, people are playing 4 hours a day, when a lot of those people are probably given an 8-hour trial. You're probably going to play most of your 8-hour trial unless the game is actually one of the worst things ever made. Why are you doing that, Kat? Why are you doing that? Don't knock over my drink.
Well, it is one of the worst things ever made. That's the funny part.
As soon as I stop recording, man. Just always. So what we do know for sure is the number of people playing Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag rose 200% on Steam after the release of Skull and Bones, according to tracking website SteamDB. Black Flag's number spiked on February 16th, the day Skull and Bones finally released after years of troubled development. So this is the story that I saw originally, where I was like, I might as well look at how Skull and Bones is doing, and then came across all this news. You stood on my arrow key, Kat, please. It was announced in 2017, it didn't come out till 2024. He's literally pushing my camera, I don't know why. So obviously they're saying Skull and Bones is breaking all records. It's doing so well. It's so good compared to all of our other games, which, bear in mind, they don't have trials on their other games. So if this is doing second highest ever, but none of the other games had trials like this, man, that doesn't look good. So obviously contrast them, peacocking, saying, oh, look at how amazing Skull and Bones is doing, using this metric that nobody in the industry ever uses. And then look at the reality. That within 3 weeks of the game releasing at $70, this super triple quadruple A game as they call it, they've had to reduce the price from $70 down to $45.
That's so funny though.
Which is, it just proves the point, people are not going to buy games at $70. And let's prove the point again.
People are going to buy games at $70. They are. They are gonna buy games at $100 or $200. If the game is good enough, people are gonna buy it, even if it's expensive. Simple, very, very simple. And I know you're probably not. I understand that. That's a completely normal thing to think. Because money is money, and money matters a lot, and money is expensive, as we all know. But still, if there's some kind of game that you are hyped about and it costs $100, and you look at everyone playing it and it's amazing, everyone loves it, and you want to play it, you're spending that $100 100%.
Their other game, their first ever game, they tried to release at $70. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, which according to the reviews is just a bang average game.
This is not an average game. This is an absolute shit show. The only part about Avatar: Frontier from Pandora from blah 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 is the fact that they have a plant wiggle animation mini game where you need to harvest plants and you need to wiggle them so you get them. Otherwise, I guess you don't get them because reasons. I'm not even sure. That this game was horrible. This game was bad at all aspects, okay? It just... Every time you look at a distance, something's loading in non-stop. It's crazy, okay? Bad gameplay. Absolutely irrelevant story. Complete disaster, okay? The only thing that this thing had going for it, why people actually bought it, is... Turns out there's a lot of people... There's a lot of people who unironically have the dream of being an actual Smurf person, okay? They want to be the Navi. They unironically, that is their dream. And this game may allow them to take one step closer to their dream. God, this was crazy.
It's what you'd expect from a AAA company. It's a game that's serviceable, it's playable. It's probably not going to be your favorite game ever. It's not going to be your forever experience. It's just okay. It's getting like 7s across the board, which is a banger.
It's not okay. The whole game literally hinges on the idea that the Na'vi are noble savages or some garbage like that. No, the Na'vi are not noble savages. They're actually very stupid and unnoble savages.
Average game. That released at $70 as well. With
part of the game is understanding Na'vi culture or whatever, because they're all so distinctive and whatnot. Bro, one Na'vi tribe just, puts their tails in flowers, the other one puts them in trees, and then they all, do hippie things. There's no uniqueness in their culture. There's nothing special about it. In fact, it's quite sad if you think about it.
Packages of up to $130, which if you're buying that, mate, fucking grow up. So there's only really 2 options here that I can see. Either one, they sincerely think that people are going to spend $70 for bang average games, and trust me, some people do, because they don't care. Yeah. Or option 2, which is they're releasing games for $70 to just milk the people who are going to buy something for $70 that's a bang average product, and then reducing the price drastically within weeks, which basically means whenever a new Ubisoft quadruple A game comes out, I fucking hate that I'm using that term even ironically, whenever another quadruple A priced game comes out, they're just telling people to just wait 2 weeks and you'll get it for 20-30% discount, because so few people are buying it that they're rushing.
People don't wait. If people waited, then you know what would happen. If people had the conscience, the self-restraint to wait for these things, then pre-orders would not happen, okay? Early access would not be a thing, because no one would buy it. But early access is literally the actual release of the game, and it just costs more money. That's what it is. Even if it's a day, even if it's 2 or 3 days, people are not gonna wait.
I'm surprised they're not offering free blowjobs or something if you buy Skull and Bones at this point, because holy shit, it doesn't look good when this is what you're doing. But it just makes me laugh, the contrast between, the game's our second best ever on this fucking made-up metric that we've got with a free trial of 8 hours, but we've had to reduce the price massively. They'd probably style that one out as like, we did it because we really care. We listened to our consumers and they said, we don't want to pay $70 for your bang average game that doesn't have enough content, that costs $200 million, and you're trying to recoup some of that loss pushing that forward onto the consumers to do.
I wonder how much of a loss this actually was. It took 200 mil to make, but Singapore did sponsor a part of this. So, it didn't actually cost 200 mil to make, probably, I'm assuming. Because, again, Singapore sponsored this game, which is hilarious, by the way. 10 out of 10 Singapore for the memes. Okay?
Before we decide whether we abandon it or continue to sink money into a project that seems cursed from the very beginning to try and get it up to par with competitors and make
Season 1 launch. Well, to be honest, Skull and Bones does not need a lot to be up to competition for, games like Diablo 4, all of that garbage.
Make it better so more people pay money for the game. But obviously they didn't do it for that reason, or they did it because they thought that they could. And honestly, they could if the game was good enough, which it isn't. Maybe it will be one day, but who knows if it...
Hell no. Probably not. Anyway, that was Kira TV. It is what it is. There you go. Well, actually, no, this is just the Kira channel. Good enough. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sensen. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.